Hi, everyone. It's Roland Kim here with Kim Boona team of Keller Williams Realty Van Central Ocean in Vancouver and from Move to Vancouver, Canada. So today is April 24th. I'm going to give you a quick market update, a little bit of what's happened in the last month and where we are and where we're trending forward. If you don't already know, March 2025 finished with 2,091 transactions, which is about a 13.4% reduction in transactional volume for year over year versus March 2024. So slower. With regards to what's happening right now, as of April 22nd, we had 1,448 transactions registered in the Vancouver Real Estate Board. So that's 22 days in. That's an average of 66 transactions per day. Month of April has 30 days. So we are estimating that we'll finish the month around 1,975 transactions for this month of April. Now, that is going to be a 30% reduction in transactional sales versus April of last year. And what you can see here, it is one of the slowest Aprils in recent years. So we are trending slower this spring in transactional sales. With results to provincial home sales for the month of March, we're down 9.6%. You can see here over the long term, the chart, we're in the low end of sales for a very long time. And that represented only 5,917 units having sold in that month, representing nearly a 10% reduction for the month of March year over year. The inventory is that reduction of nearly 10% represents a 35% below the 10-year average for March in transactional sales. So we are the lowest we've been in quite a while. With regards to active listings, provincially, active listings are up 26.4% versus same time last year. And currently there's 39,000 active listings in the province. Kind of roughly the stats are the same for the Vancouver Real Estate Board, Metro Board, and listings are up, sales are down. When we look at provincially the market conditions, we can see that we are still at the bottom end of a balanced market, but we are trending. When April is finished, we will be heavily set into a buyer's market. And it appears that we're going to remain there for the near future with all the macro factors going on with the high number of listings and the low number of buyers in the market right now. So technically, March certainly finished in a balanced market, but we will find ourselves by the end of April, and we currently are in a buyer's market. What we're seeing for the average price in the province of, so to speak, an average home, it is down 5.5% year over year for the month of March, and that will continue in April. We're seeing some downwards pressure on price. With regards to months of inventory, it's quite high. So Greater Vancouver has 14,456 active listings. That's a 37.9% increase in active inventory for the month of March, which represents, based on the number of sales that are happening, nearly 7 months of active supply. So over half a year of inventory is currently sitting on the market based on the number of properties that are selling. Fraser Valley, it's even a bigger story with regards to the fact that there's nearly 7,775 active listings, which represents over a 50%, 53.5% increase of active listings year over year for the month of March, representing nearly an 8-month supply of inventory at current rates of consumption. With inflation recently for the month, it came out in an uptick. We're just under 2%. We're still in the inflation range that we want to be, but we definitely are seeing some pressure, and that's probably why the Bank of Canada did hold its overnight key rate recently. So we're in the key area that we want to be, but we're seeing pressures again with the macro factors on inflation coming up a bit. Unemployment remains for Canada at 6.7%, for British Columbia at 6.1%. You can see here for the last 3 years, we have been ticking up from the lows that was just over 4%. And we are, we're getting pretty close to, the top range when you don't consider the spike that happened during COVID. So we'll see what happens over the summer here with the trade issues with the US and other factors going on. As I mentioned, the Bank of Canada held steady its overnight bench rate at 2.75% when it met this month. That is the first time that we didn't have a drop. We've had a drop for the last 7 straight meetings that the Bank of Canada has had. So July 2023 was the peak, and it's had 7 reductions since then. Before that, March 2022 to July 2023, the Bank of Canada did have a high number of raises. All that being said, since June 2024, we've seen a total of 2.25% drop in the benchmark rate, which is about, in real terms, about $125 less in servicing cost per month for every $100,000 borrowed. So it's almost a 30% reduction on average of what most people are paying on a variable rate mortgage for their monthly payments. We haven't quite returned to pandemic levels of low interest rates, but we're not too far off there. We're in the pre-COVID era, so we're pretty low. So in conclusion, we have consumer and business confidence at nearly all-time lows, certainly for my 16-year career. This is presenting to be the slowest spring market of certainly the last decade, but for most of my 16-year career, this is the slowest spring market we've seen. The ongoing tariff threat continues to impact the emotions and psychology of buyers, and as such, buyers are remaining out of the market in the grand scheme, considering how much built up demand there does remain from years of low transactional volume. Now we're in the 3rd year of low transactional volume. Inflation is an interesting beast. It is starting to move up a little bit, which is going to cause some challenges for the Bank of Canada to continue lowering rates into the middle and later of this year. In all, it's certainly by now, April 24th, we're in a real buyer's market, but where are the buyers? And, that's the question I have. And if you're a seller, not all is lost. Keep in mind that 70% of the average 10-year sales volume is still happening. You just need to be making sure that you're priced correctly and you're adjusting to the market and you're responding and taking any offers serious that you do receive, because offers are much harder to get and buyers are able to be a lot more selective and bounce around to different opportunities. If there's anything you want to expand on, anything I can help, if you enjoyed this video, please like the follow button and follow us on YouTube, and hope you have a great day.